طالب العلم ما يكون ديدنه ذكر أخبار النساء، وبعضهم إذا جلس في كل مجلس لا يذكر آية أو حديث، وإنما يتكلم عن الزواج وعن النساء وغيره. الأحنف ابن قيس هذا من عقلاء العرب الأذكياء من بني تميم كان يقول: جنبوا مجلسنا ذكر النساء والطعام، فإني أبغض الرجل أن يكون وصافا لبطنه وفرجه.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, I really like this video because it really reminded me about a balance that students of knowledge have to have concerning the affairs of women, and to watch out for gluttony, but to also not become licentious, ostentatious, and pretentious, and that there are more spiritual things you can talk about on different levels, different subjects overall as well. But it made me think about the manosphere, and because, you know, society is really broken down, feminist philosophy is really spread everywhere, and so many women are lost and misguided. This has caused the reactionary movement where now men have to be told how to be men again and how to deal with women, when before this was, I would argue, more common sense. You didn't really have to be taught and spoon-fed extensive measures on how to deal, like pickup artists or, you know, all the mind games that are taught to people online. And when you get around some men, if you're American, you hear locker room talk, you hear men at the office. Think about Ron Burgundy, that with Will Ferrell as the comedian, how they just constantly are talking about women, and you're like, sort of hedonism and gluttony philosophy and mantra of life. And so he mentioned, I have some notes here about bring up a ayat or a hadith, and I try myself to post fact nuggets about Islam, diverse topics as well, but I do focus a lot on hadith and find them to be quite wonderful, and it would just be quite exhilarating if you had friends with whom you can discuss such things. And if you don't have that, you have the online world. And I think that's a really good benefit of social media, is that, you know, when you want to talk about something, you may not have friends around you, you can have sort of digital friends in a way. And so I think it's important, where men are being taught how to be masculine by online gurus, that they should think about watching out for the sort of festive feasting and whoremongering methodologies of so many red pillars, but also so many rich men. Because when you get into the richer lifestyles, you begin to notice the pattern of hyperfixation upon food, and most of the food is overpriced, and then the lack of appreciation for food. So for example, oh, my steak, I wanted it rare, you made it medium well, therefore take it back, gets wasted, right? A lot of rich people do tend to waste food, and I find that to be quite strange and unproductive. And you can appreciate food without worshiping it. I focus on food in order to inspire people to expand their skills and to really, how should I put it, explore. Because there's so many wonderful culinary traditions out there. And if you're going to be a housewife, I've mentioned that in order to avoid cabin fever, you need to really level up, and you gotta have your mind occupied with noble pursuits. And homemaking involves cooking, and cooking is a wonderful cathartic process that allows you to focus on something other than yourself and reduces self-loathing, and I find this to be quite useful. And so when I focus on what different chefs have created, I get inspiration and motivation and it's not necessarily about richness. So, for example, richness as in terms of flavor. I'll see some pages post a cheeseburger that has like 4 patties, mac and cheese, and it's just gymongous. Or ice cream that has a cookie, a brownie, and sprinkles and caramel and whipped cream on it, and it's so extra, which is something very common in America. The bigger the better, you know, just stacking something to be ridiculous. And then there's the opposite side of, which is even more ridiculous, is this sort of weird, what I call fake food that has like a little piece here, a little piece there, a little drizzle of something, and a sprinkle of this, and it's $400, right? The proportion size are ridiculously small. So the balance of a good quality product sourced from local ingredients made with skill and affection, instead of a more pompous, aristocratic presentation and ostentatious display when it comes to plating, the dining experience, and whatnot. As you know, I worked in the culinary art industry for a long time, in restaurant industry. And so there's an art to cooking, to presentation, to sourcing ingredients, and good chefs that pay attention to that. And that's quite different than always focusing on food in terms of being the consumer versus the producer, right? Like, I like to watch shows, the vintage shows, how it's made. I'll watch ASMR cooking videos just to relax with my little tot, and also with her older sister. But me and my youngest will watch ASMR cooking where there's no talking, it's just straight cooking, because you pick up on different methods and secrets. And so I always enjoy that. And I will say that it's really important for us to have a good balance of different topics that you get into. But if a man is constantly complaining about women and women are constantly complaining about men, I think we lose some ground. But it is important to highlight the problems each one faces and give helpful reminders and to dissect certain ideologies, but not to get lost in the sauce. And I think that's what the Sheikh is getting at. So let me know what you think, and until next time.